I would like to ask, I know you are both, you are Shockwave and you are Wheeljack, but in the series of Transformers Prime, who are your favorite characters?
I know it's the Steve Bloom love fest today, but I really like what you do. But we're kind of scene partners a lot too, and it's fun to play off of him. So I just appreciate him as an actor, and I love his character, Starscream. I take PayPal.
That was a $50 compliment. I really enjoy RC. Somali, Montano. We're in the same agency, and I see quite a bit of her. You know, even before I used to see her in the office before we got this gig together, and it was just so wonderful to work with her because she's. If you guys met her, has she been at a convention? You got to meet her. She's just so sweet, and she just became a mother this past year, and
sweet Comic-Con baby.
Yeah,
she was on her way to Comic-Con, and yeah, if she had gone one more hour without going into labor, she would have had it right on the floor of the convention. That would have been front page.
Anyway, I know that I appreciated the episode where Wheeljack and RC actually got to go out together, which was, and Miko had that line about, our lone wolves finally got together. And it's cool, I really hadn't thought about the two of them having scenes and being simpatico, but it was good. I like that episode, and I just appreciate her work, what she brings to that character. She's got that sultry, really cool, deep voice, which works for that character so well. Anyway.
Okay, I have one last question. Have either of you ever wanted to use your character actor voices for something else?
Oh, I have.
Like in a like to mess with people, and possibly could. You, David, could you give me an example?
Well, I'll give you an example. I was in an In-N-Out restaurant in Hollywood. And there was this little girl sitting there, and she was under 3 years old, and her mother had abandoned her. And I wanted to find her mom. So I said, I did a video game voice. I said, and kind of like this kind of overly classical turn of phrase, I said, "Who is the mother of this child?" Because that shut everybody up. On Saturday afternoon, 120 people were silent, and I had the room. And then I did it again, a little softer. "Who is the mother of this child?" They thought I was going to beat up the mother of the child. So no one was, and then a woman, I was so mad at this woman. She's at the other end of the room, she stood up, she goes, "Over here?" I said, "Are you her mom?" "Yes." I could have gone on and lectured her, but I just sent her back to her mom, and everybody gave her the evil eye, and she ran out of the restaurant. But you can use this voice to save people sometimes.
I use Wheeljack with my wife.
Oh no.
Put shoulder pads in charge.
David, is there any way you could give us a demonstration of your Shockwave voice, but something completely out of character?
Okay, I was told by a fan in a restaurant yesterday that I should expect, I've never been to a BotCon, I'm supposed to, in my character, be ready to do a fast food order. One RC Cola. One Starscream tostada with extra Funyuns. Dessert is logical. Bring me a cortical psychic whip. It's delicious. I always say that these things too, that I need the lighting in the booth, I need the people around me, I need a certain mic. Like, I can never really completely get a new character out of context for some reason. It's just my thing. Like when I do accents, the girls sort of have to write like a little cheat sheet notes about how to get into the accent. Just the way I do it. So I'll never ever sound exactly like the character at a convention, as much as I'd like to.
I got enough.
First, I want to say you guys are amazing. Steve, you're also amazing.
My question is this. Do you have a favorite Prime episode? And do you have a favorite moment in the recording booth?
Well, let's see. I already mentioned the episode with RC that Wheeljack just recently did. I like that when they put him with different people, like, and even the thing he did with Miko, which was cool when they went out. He just, you know, he's like, yeah, come on, kid, you can come with me. You know, because he considers her an honorary wrecker. I don't think he gets that she's quite flesh. When he had her inside of here, and she's like, oh, Earl on your floor mats. Yes, I like those episodes where he's able to. You see a little more of his personality because he's generally a little quiet, doesn't say much. And what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
A recording booth moment.
Oh, the recording booth moment. Man, there's so many. You know, I can't. It's hard to think of a one in particular because these guys are just they're constantly on. It's like having several Robin Williams in the room at the same time. I look at the guy that did the Predaking, Peter. Yeah, you know, he and I would just be looking at each other, you know, shaking our heads when this madness was going on around us. Because neither of us, you know, are that quick-witted.
Well, for me, I like the episode where my character's torturing RC. Because you don't really see that very much in cartoons, where it's serious. It wasn't, you know, the villains are sometimes played over the top, but he's so understated. I just really, the delicious evil thing is something I really like. And in a sense, Shockwave is the most delicious evil there is because he achieves a feeling of being scary by not caring. He doesn't care if he kills her. He can't get the information from her, he doesn't care. And that's kind of interesting to me. It's different thing to play. And they're asking for a recording booth moment. When I come in for a session and Kevin Michael Richardson picks me up. Hi, David. He's the only one in Hollywood who can actually physically pick me up.
Hi. What would happen if your characters got a roommate argument, including Halo Wars Arbiter?
Halo Wars Arbiter. Roommate argument. Somebody wants a Wheeljack and Arbiter.
And Depth Charge.
I don't know what and Depth Charge. The Arbiter. What did he do? What did he do in Arbiter? He's like okay, the Halo fans will know this. If I say to Wheeljack, bring me the relic.
Take that relic and stuff it up your can.
I don't care about my chair. Bring me the relic.
I don't care about your can either. Just stick it where the sun don't shine.
You are a horrible roommate.
I'm out of here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will continue the Love Fest. Transformers Prime has just been really, really incredible. And it's actually really cool to see another Transformers celebrity who isn't even on the guest list. Thank you for coming. You're awesome. The question I have is actually for David. I grew up with G1, but what really got me and probably a lot of people in here back into the fandom was Beast Wars. And that was really, I think, the first time that we saw incredible Transformers storytelling on TV. A big part of that was what Depth Charge brought to the show. And I was wondering if maybe you could talk about the character in general, and especially if you could talk about how you created the last scene that he appeared in with the death of Rampage, and how that all fit together. Because that was incredible stuff. Maybe
Well,
one of the darkest moments in the franchise.
It was incredible to do, and did you know, you might not know, that Sue Blue directed that too, 13, 14 years ago. And up in Vancouver, They told me that my character was going to die 10 minutes before that scene happened. And they did it on purpose. You know, we were of course all curious who was dying and who was living. They wouldn't tell us. They handed us the script when we walked in, which is actually, that is a classical soap opera thing to do. Because if you tell the guy that he's going to die, he won't do the scene.
Yeah. Well,
Or maybe that's just
very colors.
that's an urban myth, maybe. But no, it was the direction that made it work. You know, I can't take full credit for anything that I do. The writing and the directing. In this case, the way Sue directs, she's in the scene with you. She's not just pressing the button and saying go. So that's what really made it work, I would say. Plus, frankly, the emotion, like my character's dead. I don't get to come back anymore. I can't believe it's been 14 years since I did that, and people remember this character. I'm really touched by that. I only did 7 episodes. But people remember it.
It was almost 7.
One question. How come the season ended for a while?
Well, they had to go and make it. You know, it takes a long time to do this kind of animation. And they do take long breaks sometimes. And sometimes actually it'll start, but the network says that like in this case, this year, I heard about this, they wanted the episodes early. So they rushed a few of the episodes so they could get them on the air. They weren't really ready to continue on, so they had to take a bit of a break.
Yeah, my understanding is they sent it to Japan, that they put like finishing touches to it over there. So that's why it has kind of almost an anime feel to it. It's really textured.
The FedEx time, it takes months.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. David, I imagine that you remember that Death Charge was pretty obsessed with hunting down Protoform X.
That's all they cared about.
Turns out that he found out somewhere in the midst of his journey from Wheeljack, of all people, that Shockwave was pretty involved in the science behind what created Protoform X. So he took this little side journey, and I'm wondering if maybe we could hear a little bit from you guys about this little hunt for Shockwave.
Well, I'm so not good at recalling storylines, to be honest. You know, yeah, and my thing, and somebody talked about this with me yesterday, and I have no recollection of it, to be honest. I'm sorry. I find that when I do these characters, I'm like Shockwave. I only really care about Megatron and Starscream.
That was a scenario that this gentleman just made up.
I'm sorry?
That was a scenario that this gentleman just made up.
Oh, I thought it really happened. Okay, how did that happen?
Oh, you don't remember that? Great, let's hear it then.
It's so hard for us to make up dialogue like that with specific storylines and stuff. We'd love to, but you know, the roommate thing works.
When did Wheeljack hear about that?
Yeah, that's pretty hard for me to come up with. I'm so sorry on the spot. Am I getting feedback because I'm doing something wrong with my computer yet?
I think it's that. That's it.
He's coming.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. And my question is, you were talking about your relations with Peter, Horan, and some of the other members. What are your relations with some of the other members of the Transformers Prime cast?
Well, they're all good. I haven't had any fights.
No. They're good people. They don't hit you. Unless you're really bad.
You'd be surprised to, you know, it's Hollywood and all this. We're all really pretty down to earth.
Well, that's the beauty of voiceover generally. You know, it's like, I find, having done a lot of guest stars on camera, there's just so much less ego involved in voiceover. And it's refreshing because, you know, nobody cares what you look like or how you're dressed. It's just about your voice and what you're bringing to that. And so many people bring different characters. I'm in awe of like watching these characters come to life in the booth. If you guys ever had the chance to like sit behind the glass with the producers and the voice directors, and we've had guests come in and watch like that. It's fascinating. I think maybe some of the DVDs have behind the scenes stuff, or if you've seen that with, or even the animated features where like Toy Story with Tim Allen and that other guy.
Chris, James and I did have a brief Twitter feud in April. I'm just kidding. Let's whip up some controversy.
Yeah, no, I'm just amazed by people's talent. Everybody in this cast is really fascinating and great to watch. You're welcome.
Hello. I was just wondering if you had the opportunity in Prime to do a musical scene, what character
would you I would always sing my favorite cartoon song. If Shockwave sang it, how would you sing it? Let's see. Everybody's doing the Michigan rap. Gene and Ruth. That lovely ride.
It's a dream.
I was
the
so
impossible dream. That's Wheeljack. That's Wheeljack. I got to do Don Quixote and Man of La Mancha a few years back. That was fun. I didn't do him as Wheeljack.
What has been your favorite line to do on the show to date? If you can remember anything.
Every time I say logical.
This is all you got? The planet's in bigger trouble than I thought.
And I like saying Burr was liking Patch.
Anytime I get to call Ultra Magnus shoulder pads. Put shoulder pads in the chest.
The way I roll my eyes, Starscream.
I like when Starscream screams.
This is a question for both y'all and for Steve. If I'm sure y'all walked through this room, maybe, possibly. A couple years ago, when Mike Conahai was here, I asked him if he had, because he did the voice of G1, Trax, and Cosmos, which is still in their character. He did not have copies of his toys. I'm just wondering, do you all have y'all's toys, and have you seen them? And what do all three of y'all think of y'all's toy representations?
Toys, well,
Yeah,
obviously.
I got my toy. This will Mitch. I charge. I only had one in the box. I had one in the box signed by the whole cast. But I never had one outside the box for years, so it'll be fun on my coffee table. And then I got two of these today, and it's probably sacrilegious, but I ripped one open so I could have that on my coffee table. I got the big one. A fan sent me that. You can't get them in the stores in LA. They're rare for some reason, but yeah, I'll probably see if somebody has another one for me, a big one.
How big is it?
It is. You don't want to talk about that in public.
No. You're the one that brought up size, Dave.
Yeah, well, for some reason they got the mini Shockwave and the maxi Shockwave.
Oh, well. I've never had an action figure before. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. Yeah, my float for Wheeljack. When it first came out, I was really jazzed about it, and we bought several. And, I gave my kid one. He's 6, so I gave him one to play. And he was like, "Why can't I open the rest of them?" I said, "Because I'm saving." And then the one with the jackhammer, they call it Star Hammer, I think. But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, just to see the different incarnations of the toys. I was excited about it because, as I said, the only time I ever had it.
I've had a few, but every time I do a character, like, I hope there's a toy, I hope there's a toy, I hope there's a toy.
I have 3 shelves of them.
I went shopping last night when it was closing. The dealer's room was closing. I was like the last one in there shopping for my toys. Such a geek.
Sorry, I had to document that one. I actually had a couple more questions. First off, Is there any character on Transformers Prime other than your own that you wish you could play?
Jack, because it would be fun to have a higher voice sometimes and play the younger roles. I'm always playing like the serious stuff. Yeah. It's fun to do the lighter stuff sometimes.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, I think I actually, in one of the movies, they were trying to cast Megatron, I believe, because I remember I went. Did you read that a couple years ago? No, Did you didn't do any of the movies, right? You didn't do.
I played Megatron, but I'll explain that later.
Because one of the first, you didn't. Yeah, he's gonna get it on. One of the first movies, I know that they were doing. I think they were recasting. I was trying to get the voice of Megatron. I think who ended up doing that was Hugo Weaving, right? But they were auditioning. Clancy Brown, you know that name? I remember he was in there. Several of us were in there auditioning for it, so it was, to do Megatron would be fun.
Starscream! That was the question. What was the question?
Did you audition for Megatron in the movie, or any of it? Did you audition for any of the movie?
No.
They didn't bring it up.
Well, I went in for the game that came out after the movie, and on the bottom of the audition, it said looking for a David Sobolov type. Yeah, and I don't want to pay David Sobolov. And I did the audition, and I said, "Was I David Sobolov enough for you?" But I actually got the part, but we had a little trouble in the negotiations, so I ended up playing Brawl instead. Frank did that one, didn't he? The game?
Yeah, the movie tie-in game was Frank.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
But then the other question I have, I'm really hoping Hasbro says, no, it's just a big hoax, or no, it's just a name change in a few hours, but with the news of Transformers Prime coming to an end, get some boos for that? Boo! What's next for you guys?
What's next for you?
I'm continuing to do games. Games have been really good to me. Working on a couple of new ones that I'm not at liberty to talk about. And then just on-camera commercials that continue to do well for me. That's it. I mean, VO, thank God.
In the next year, I'm quite involved in the Marvel universe. You'll see me quite a bit there, but I can't really talk about it much, except it's something to do with a film that's coming out in Fall of 14 that I can't talk about. Lots of G's in it. That's all I can say.
Starscream musical. Yeah, not professionally, just at home.
Yes. We'll do our comedy.
Steve Bloom's up there somewhere.
For your kids, yeah.
Yeah. Got the kids in with me. And you, dude. Okay, you too.
Thanks for everybody coming.
Thank you, yeah.
He's up there somewhere.
And we're going to be at our tables later signing other stuff besides, the autograph sessions.
And we'll be here all weekend. Try the borscht. It's delicious.
Come see us.
I don't know, he's up there somewhere. We'll see him later. We'll see Steve Bloom. And
we'll see him anyway.
People with red and blue hair. Yeah, I was making a joke.
Of course, they're robbing you already.
I'll just leave the that are on the screen over there, but you're probably away.
All right, so we seriously need everybody to put their recording devices, turn them off, put your phones on.
Pardon. Pardon me. My husband, sorry. All three.
Ma'am, can my wife take a picture, please? Thank you, ma'am. That's okay. Awesome. Good job. Right on.
Alright, look this way, bud. Awesome, thank you.
So let me start out with our first guest, who some of you may know from watching the cartoon back in the late 80s when Hasbro tried to rebrand the Transformers G1 franchise to keep it on the air. They brought in a young, talented actor to play the role of a character named Tommy Kennedy. And for about 25 years, nobody knew where he was. As some people know, the TF Wiki, which is kind of like the all-encompassing source for Transformers news and resources and encyclopedia type information, they had no clue, so it just drove them nuts. So they finally found him, and we started talking, and we thought it'd be really cool to kind of get his perspective as really the first live-action Transformers actor. Long before Shia, there was Tommy Kennedy. So please welcome Jason Jansen to the stage. Our next guest here, many of you are familiar with. He's been to a couple BotCons before. He was the voice director for all of G1. Did every cartoon, worked with Frank Welker, Peter Cullen, Chris Latta, all the greats from back in the day. We're still great today, obviously. And he also did many other series, Gem, I believe, G.I. Joe, all kinds of series. It's just a great pleasure to bring him back again. So please welcome Mr. Wally Burr. And with that, I will let him take it away.
Look, Kevin, I have as much right to wear a hat like that as anybody else has. Back off. Hey. It's our stage. Was that fun? Yeah! Did you believe we were angry? Yeah! That's Wally Burr at his finest.
That's Wally Burr's directing at its finest with 5 minutes to go before we go on. First off, let me say that I'm really happy to be here. I'm glad that these guys found me and reached out to me, and I'm very honored and humbled to be here. And I've been meeting a lot of you this weekend, and it's made me very happy, and I'm happy to be here. And I just want to say thank you to all you guys. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Kids. There we go. Can you hear me? Can you hear me in the back of the room? Do we need a microphone? I guess we do. All right. That was our bit. Thank you very much.
There are no more coming.
No, he's one generation. Jason is from the more contemporary versions of Transformers. And I'm from 1886, just after Custer was killed. So we have a lot of fun here. You guys are as much fun as I've seen at a convention, really enthusiastic. It's a lot of fun. Jason, why don't you identify the characters you played? I played a mean director.
Well, as Tommy Kennedy, I only got a chance to interview one Transformer for the Autobot City News. So I was hoping maybe I could throw a question at you, as Tommy Kennedy, if these guys were up for it at all. I'm not sure. Is that
all right? There's a lot of... Somebody taught me how to use a microphone years ago. A lot of rumor about Mr. Wells' work in the Transformers.
Oh, hold on a minute. I have to sign on.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is Tommy Kennedy reporting for the Autobot City News. I'm here at BotCon 2013 with Wally Burr, a close personal friend of yours truly.
We just met 20 minutes ago.
Wally, in the bio.
Would you say something in the voice of the reporter you played? Well, once you've done a show, you forget it. You let it go on.
This is Tommy Kennedy reporting for the Autobot City News.
Now tell me. Excuse me, go ahead.
In your bio, you talk about a famous situation while you were doing voice direction for Orson Welles. Could you please tell the panel here today a little bit more about that?
Nope.
This has been Tommy Kennedy for the Autobot City News.
Q. There's a lot of rumor about Mr. Wells not being well. He was not well, but he was perfectly able to excuse me, do his work when he arrived. He had, you always send a limo, stretch. He arrived in his old Pontiac, having said to the limousine driver, "Go on, I'll be there." And so the limo arrived, and I had not known that he had done all this, and I said to the driver, I said, "Where is he?" And he said, "He told me to go on," and then, thank you. And, just a moment, be about 10 minutes here. So he said, told me to go on, but then he went back to the rear of the limo, opened the trunk, and there was a wheelchair in there, and he pulled it out. The wheelchair was about that wide. And I thought, oh God, we've got a sick actor. And he put it on the tarmac, or tarmac wasn't here. And left it there, and presently a 20-year-old Pontiac arrived with Mr. Wells in the passenger seat, and driver, I don't know, his friend, I think. And he unlimbered himself. He weighed about, I imagine, just 300 or maybe a little bit over, and got out. He was quite cordial. I introduced myself, which is a nice thing to do when you're going to work with somebody. And he then gestured to the driver, take the wheelchair inside. The wheelchair went in the studio. It was my studio. And it was set up, the wheelchair was set up next to a table inside. And I wanted to find out, really, I was a little underhanded, I wanted to find out if Mr. Wells had read the script. It's nice to know whether there had been any background. And it appeared that he had. So I said, could we run a few lines for the engineer so I can get a level? And he said, certainly. And he started to read the script. And I think he thought he was the narrator of the piece, because he'd done thousands of narrations. But he was not, he was a character. And I didn't want to tell him he was a planet. I thought psychologically it was kind of, an insult. He would squirm a little. Anyway, and it wasn't necessary. I think he thought he was the narrator of the piece. And so when he got to one place where I had done the Leonard Nimoy line in response to some of his dialogue, he stopped me. He said, "Does anybody in the audience know what line reading is?" I'm talking myself here, a genuine question. Line reading is when the director says, "Say it the way I'm saying." And most actors hate it. The reason they were hired is because they could create characters with their voices. So Mr. Wells said, "You're not going to line read me, are you?" I said, "I wouldn't think of it, sir." He said, "You're doing it." Now, I don't know whether any of you have ever heard what are called outtakes. That is the material from a recording session or even a live action shoot that are never used. The tail ends of things and so on. The swearing that goes on. In any case, after I had said that one thing, and he said, "You're doing it," and I said, "No, these are Leonard Nimoy's lines. I was just cueing him." And he looked at the script and he went, "So you are." The monkey jumped off my back and onto his, because he could not. He did not abide silliness. He didn't want people directing him, and he was. Does anybody know the first movie that he directed? I have hands. Orson Welles. What?
Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. Yeah. At 24 years old, he was given one of the major features, and it's still a classic picture. So this is not a man you fool around with. I just kept quiet for the rest of the session. I did not. I worked with Mr. Wells, but I couldn't say I directed him. He, at one point, I wanted him to pick up the tempo because animation needs a little more snap to it, a little more crispness to it. So I asked him, you have a button as a director in the booth, and I pressed the button. I said, "Mr. Wells, just one thing that sounds great, but would you pick up the tempo a little bit?" And he said, "I'm reading this as fast as I possibly can." And then he added the kicker, which meant I had no reason to put my finger on that button during the rest of the session. He said, "I'll do the slating." You all know what slating is? Slating is identifying a section. It's the thing that in motion pictures is the clapstick. That's slating. It comes from the fact that one time it was actually a slate. Now it's different. So he said, in other words, that relieved me of any reason to push the button. and I didn't resent that at all, because the man knew exactly what he was doing. And later on, we were able to, with some somewhat crude technology, speed it up about 8 or 9% to make it a little brisker, make it move along. And it sounded wonderful to finish things. So Mr. Wells was well. And Leonard Nimoy never did. There's a rumor, a lot of rumors going around that Leonard did the pickups of the lines that had to be done later that Mr. Wells was unable to. Mr. Wells was quite able to finish everything. And at the end of it, because he had a lot of ego, I wanted to let him get out of there. A lot of people were watching from the edges of the studio. And I said to them, I said, "Folks, he's just done 3 hours of very intense work. Let's let him get out of here." He said, no, that's fine. And he held forth for about 45 minutes, answering questions about what movies have you done, when are you going to finish this. I remember vividly, he said, why haven't you finished that picture? He pulled his hand out of his pocket, the universal symbol for money. And I think that, quite honestly, Mr. Wells was very impatient with people who weren't as fast, weren't as quick on the uptake as he was. So that's my...
Right. Yeah, interesting take.
That's it. One other thing, and then Jason will pick up, and you'll keep me speak for the next 2 hours. Most live-action actors who have had experience in the animated version, there's a scene in which the future Optimus Prime is fishing with a young kid. Anybody remember? The actor, somebody help me. Yes. came in, had never done voiceover before. And he came in, he said, I don't even know how close to get to the mic or what. I just said there are about 2 to 3 things you need to know. About 6 to 8 inches, fine. Do your character as a young man. Don't try to look at the actor that you're talking to, because what happens is you do that and you go off mic and now you're on mic, and then you can't do that. You've got to imagine you're looking at the actor that you're speaking to, the character you're speaking to. So it says, and most actors who have not done it say, God, this is a ball. I didn't have to go in makeup, I didn't have to go in and memorize lines, I didn't have to, but what you have to do, just as an insight, you have to be able to climb into the skin of a character you're playing. And that's some people can very easily, and others find it very difficult to not be themselves. And I say, we are all acting all the time. You guys are acting. We're all presenting a somewhat artificial thing.
I think at this point what we're going to do is go ahead and open it up to a Q&A, so you got plenty of time to ask them some questions. What I do is I'll put the mic right over here. I'll just ask you to come up, ask your question, and return to your seat if you could, just so we can make sure we get everybody through that would like to ask a question. And with that, we'll go ahead and open the floor up. So, anyone with a question, come on up.
Thank you for your question.
So long, everybody. I've talked to quite a few of you at the convention this weekend, and I know one of the questions that I've gotten a lot is, was that Optimus Prime character really there, or was it superimposed in, or did they do it after the fact? And the answer is it was really there. It was a wooden structure. It was a large puppet. It had 2 puppeteers inside of it. The same guy in Optimus Prime was famously also in Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street fame. So Optimus to Snuffleupagus. And there were certain weak elements on Optimus's shoulder that I wasn't allowed to stand on. So they were very clear to me, like, do not step on this area here, only on this area. So it was pretty interesting. The hand was real as well, so that raised up and down. Again, same thing, only sit in this area. But otherwise, it was pretty cool.
Does wearing that thing hurt?
No. This is a question for Wally. A while back, Dan Gillison, Bumblebee, wrote a book about his experiences on G1. I was wondering, have you read it, and what are your thoughts on what he had to say about the show?
The show?
Well, he talked about the show, working with you. Have you read his book? And
I say I'm perfect and the rest of them are. No, I'm not quite. I know he's a good friend of mine. I have not read his book, if that's what you're asking. To me, if those of you who might be interested in saying, hey, I want to get into voiceover, buy a cheap recorder. It doesn't have to have a lot of quality to it, but you can read into it, play it back, and if you have any kind of an ear, you'll know whether you're slow, clumsy, blowing lines, or whatever. And record and play back, record and play back. That's that much about getting into voiceover.
Thank you.
And being able to climb into, yeah, thank you. That is not a transformer. Oh. Lady Shark.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the live action sequences and the Optimus Prime sequences. That was a cool part of junior high for me. And it seems like
I didn't hear your question.
I'm getting to the question, I promise. I guess for Wally, I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about how you got hired on Transformers. And one of the things that I noticed even in retrospective, it seems like there was always a real effort on G1 to make it a lot more than a kid show. Everybody was really trying to do just really good work, and that's, I think, why it's lived on. And also, for you, it seems like you went from being the holy grail of unknown Transformer stuff to found in 3 days. And can you talk about how they found you? And it's cool to see that you turned out really well. It's nice to hear you weren't a typical child actor story.
Thank you. Yeah, when the movie came out, when the first movie came out, live action movie in 2007, it was in 2006 where it was being teased online. A couple co-workers of mine had known that I had done something for Transformers. They didn't really understand what it was exactly. but they had kind of like been ribbing me at work, and they were like, didn't you do this, and blah, blah, blah. And a couple of them started some rumors online that I was going to be in the movie and killed in the first scene. So it was kind of funny. Some people commented, that's great, I hated that kid. But it's all right. That kind of quieted down after a while, and then just recently, during December, January time, my sister was online and she had read one of those blogs, an interview with Tim Spidell, and then they were talking about the filming of the Tommy Kennedy scenes in season 5, and it was at that time where the blog kind of ended like, I think it said something like this. I think it said, if only we could find where Tommy, maybe one day we'll find where Tommy Kennedy is, or Jason Jansen is. And my sister said, you gotta, I mean, there's people looking for you right now. You have to, you gotta do something. And I was like, I don't know, you know, like it's been 25 years, you know, since I've been hanging out with all you guys. So I wrote back, I said, hey, it's me. And the kid was like, great, I'd like to send you an interview. And then all you bloggers picked up on it, and you know, Pete reached out, and the rest is history. Would you come out to BotCon and do this panel with Wally Burr? And I said, maybe if you can add some more people to the panel. I don't want to carry Wally up here. But I agreed at the end, and no, it's been great. It's been great.
Is he ever going to stop?
But that's basically how it went down. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You were asking, getting into the thing. I looked out, which is a part of almost everybody's experience in voiceover. Harrison Ford's father was an advertising agency producer. I worked for him, so I go back quite a ways. Chris Ford was his name. Anyhow, I got into this kind of by a fluke, which is what I'm talking about. The producer of G.I. Joe was the beginning of a show. There's just a tremendous amount of work. Assigning writers, working out the arc of the stories, layout men, animators have to be hired. It's a very big job. And he was an old friend of mine. He and I had a Barbera together. And he called me, he said, I am slammed. Would you mind doing the second show? He said, I recorded the first one. I kind of hopped at the opportunity. And had nothing to do with Marvel at that point. And so, you know, I showed up, got the storyboard, studied my butt off, and I'll tell you, if there's anything that's important in show business is preparation. And I'll not go any further than that. But doing things, thinking of everything that could happen and go wrong, and work it out and have an A or a B way to do it. Back to the fact that he had called me and asked me if I would do the show. So I studied my butt off. I use butt a lot. But I'll get back to it. I showed up, and there was a scene. How many of you seen Mad Max? Yep. Huge storm, what do you call it in cattle? Stampede of all of the members of the cast across the desert. Dust, vehicles, roaring vehicles, and so on. Very exciting scene. There was one that really was back to a ripoff in Joe 2. And I wasn't getting as much energy as I felt I needed. No, I had beside me Jake McCall and his son, Joe McCall.
Sorry, Wally, 1 second. Somebody's getting a call in the audience.
Oh.
Come back. Anyway, more was it? Oh,
Stampede.
The guys weren't giving me the energy and the drive and the anger that I was looking for, so I got up, and here are the guys really behind the creative side of it, Jay and Joe McCall. And I thought, I'd never met these guys before, but I walked into the studio and I raised hell with the cast. Actually, I didn't. I said, I want more energy. I really want you to scream your heads off. And you were angry. You were after something. I came back into the studio, or into the control room, and sat down, and I said, excuse me, I get a little intense. And Joe McCall looked at me and said, so do I. I felt something click, and the next day I got a call, and I said, they want you to do the rest of the series. So that's how I lucked out by having a producer call me and say, would you substitute for one show? So I did the rest of them, and then I did Transformers, came in about halfway through that. We're doing Transformers, then a ladies show, which was really, can you name it? Jim and the Holograms, 12 ladies, 6 of them kind of bad girls, and 6 hero girls. So I ended up doing 450 of these Hasbro, which were called, I've always kind of been irritated by 30-minute commercials. They were usually better shows, better written than the other stuff that was not matched by a product like the toy show. So, does that answer your question? It does. Where'd you go? Don't walk out in the middle, please.
I forgot where I sat. It's really embarrassing.
Come on up here. So, yes.
So, thank you guys for being here. I know we all wish we could have been you back in the 80s, so hanging out with Optimus Prime seemed just amazing. Quick question, just out of curiosity, was there like a big change going from the cartoon series to the animated movie? Was there different vibes or stresses?
No, I did, there's a G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
It's actually several episodes, half-hour episodes stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference was that there were a number of celebrities in the movie. Most of them were quite congenial, nice to work with, enjoyed the experience of doing voiceover, because it's different. And you can read it. You don't have to stay up all night memorizing your lines. So I don't think there was anything different. A director has to have some sort of, they keep talking about the vision of the director. All it is knowing what the hell you want to do with it. And there was a famous director who once said, actors would rather not have a director. They'd rather create the character that they're working on alone. Leave me alone. But somebody's got to, like with the symphony orchestra, somebody's got to tell them when to start, when to stop, when to pick up the tempo, and so on. So you deal with tempo and character and so on. And, does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess the other part I wanted to ask, if you had any actors that were more interesting to work with, had a little, maybe come in super hungover, or...
I did.
Yeah, this morning that happened.
No, sometimes I had a couple of actors who were on something.
Chris Lotto, one of them?
Chris had a little bit of a drinking problem, but I remember taking him aside once. He did this, everything is up there like that. It was not an opportunity to display his acting chops. He was one hell of a good actor. And I took him aside once and I said, you're doing animation, and I wish you would stick your foot in the live action, and not necessarily as a screaming maniac. You're a wonderful actor. He was. I've met his widow and his kids since several times, and I loved him as a man. I just wished he had a little more discipline in terms of the way he handled his own life. And then there was another guy who passed away during the middle of Transformers. I can't remember his name, but again, it was a guy I enjoyed working with. Occasionally you run into somebody. A quick little story. Jim Cummings, quite well known. He plays Pooh for Disney. I was doing, I think it was Transformers, and I didn't care for the character that he was doing. You can't just dismiss that and say, okay, do what you want to do. Somebody's got to pull it together and say, well, wait a minute, that sounds too much like this other character, so I want you to do this. Somebody's got to run the show. And it's a little bit, yeah, you're playing God, because you're deciding everything. But somebody has to do it, and that's your job. And so I got into a little bit of I wanted to say, Jim, I don't like what you're doing, I want you to do this. And in theater, there's a lot of opportunity to stand around and say, let's see, I'm younger, yeah, and should I come through the door on the line or just before the line or whatever? There's a lot of time to discuss that. In a cartoon show, you got 4 hours to get 26 pages of, I'm talking about typed dialogue, not the storyboard. 26 pages of script done, and type and movie. And so you don't have a lot of time to discuss the opportunities to play it one way or another. And the actors get a script. Very few people know this. They get it when they come to the session. Doesn't get there last night so they can study. They get it. Here it is. Here's your marker. Or you got a marker? Fine. Mark your lines. We're ready to go. Describe the first scene. You're climbing a hill. I need to have you huffing and puffing. You're discouraged and you're scared. That's the essence of this scene. Let's do one rehearsal. Read maybe 3 minutes of that scene. And then, okay, record, roll. And that's how much time there is to get into the skin of the character. Not that they haven't done it before. I mean, by this time, by a couple of shows, they know who they are. This is 25 years old, this t-shirt. I brought it along, and so am I.
Were you upset that Frank Welker couldn't play Megatron in the live-action movies? And also, when Generation 1 was wrapping up, were you disappointed or were you excited to start other projects?
There's a huge emotional, stay there.
He's a director.
What about Frank Welker? Did I ever work with him on live action?
No, but were you disappointed that he wasn't able to play Megatron in live action movies?
Oh yeah, and I thought it was ridiculous because he's still playing Fred in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. The Universal Studios, right?
I mean, Michael Bay said he's too old. What? Anyhow, Frank did live action. He was in a Love Boat once, which was a series that none of you would remember. Second, there were 2 issues.
What Generation 1 was wrapping up, were you disappointed that it was wrapping up, or did you want to start new projects?
No, yeah, there's a big letdown. I go into the dumps. At the end of any production, such a vital thing going, this problem, that problem, the problems are fun to solve. But when it ends, it's kind of like, you know, it's at the end of not the world, but it's a depressing thing to come off. Did that answer it?
Oh, yeah, it was a sad day when it got canceled. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ask you. Yeah, okay. It's good to see that you're okay all these years.
Thank you.
How do you feel about losing your hair?
Yeah.
Since the show. I did
the mullet or the that real hair? I had the mullet going on in the back. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, it's party in the back. So business in the front, but yeah, we're okay with the new adult haircut, I think.
This is where I had a question. 2 questions for you actually.
One.
Okay. I know we've heard a lot of.
Am I distorting working this close to the mic? Go ahead.
No, we had a series of questions about how did you feel about this actor, how did you feel about this actor, but who was your all-time best actor to work with, worst actor to work with?
I think Corey Burton was he was slower to get a character, but there was more going on up here. Michael Bell could come in and say, you want a smart-ass sergeant? You want a colonel? He could do it. He could do it. And he is a quick study, the expression that's used. Corey is a slower one. He thinks more about how this character, he's more internal, a little more method. And I always, once he got it, I'd say, hey, play that back for me. That's great. And so it was a great pleasure to work with you. Actors have different capabilities, different attitudes toward things. You got to be flexible as a director. Some of them are very sensitive, and others you got to be tough with.
Okay. So that answers my second question. That answered my second question. I was going to ask you, how did you feel about the actors having liberties towards, different things about the characters, such as, how they acted toward the character, how they acted out the character, and how they voiced the character. That actually answered my second question. But my final question is, I read something years ago saying that you had an opinion about Spike using the curse word in the movie.
I'm just going to say it. Shit.
How did you really feel about that?
Actors, when they blow lines, swear. People swear. When a carpenter's working, he swears. It happens several times in recording. You figure, that'll be cut out. I don't remember whether it was in the script literally or not. If it was, I think it was just an expression. I went on, I said, if they don't like it, they can cut it. And all it was, he pops up from behind something and goes, like that. It's about that quiet, isn't it? Yeah. And everybody knows the word. And all of rigmarole about what you can and can't say, which is changing tremendously today in the last 4 or 5 years. Television, addressing issues that 10 years ago, oh no, you can't say that, can't issue that, no. I think it's great that it is happening. Right. We're all humans, and that all the uptight business about it. In any case, I don't remember it happening. One thing I do remember is when we got to the line, or the fight for Optimus Prime was obviously off. And Peter's standing there, and he's, I'm dead.
And he wanted to curse.
And then in shows forever, dead characters have come back, and it was amnesia or something like that. So we didn't really worry about it, and then the word got back that everybody was pissed off about it. And Hasbro had him written back in. So, thank you. God save you. Go ahead.
What is next after this for you? What are your plans?
Well, I'm still a screen actor. So I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild and the AFTRA, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists.
Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, one union. That's the
one union. I'm still a member, but I just hadn't gotten back into acting for no particular reason whatsoever. But I do live in New York, and all these feelings and all these conversations about Transformers, maybe conjuring up some feelings of the childhood acting. So, yeah, you never know what I might do in the future. I don't hold it. I never say never. So maybe one day I hope to get back into it. Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, well that wraps up our panel here with Wally, Burr, and Jansen. Give another big round of applause. Jason will be acting a little bit tomorrow with a voice actor's script panel we do in the morning. So he will be getting to do a character. It will not be Tommy Kennedy. And then he will forever have a second character on the wiki page. We got the Rescue Bots panel up next. Wally and Jason will be doing autographs again tomorrow. Well, it's on your badge. I can't find it right now. So they will be doing autographs tomorrow. Please come see them again. They will be doing, like I said, a panel again tomorrow. Please make the time to come see them again. And if you're here for Rescue Bots, sit tight. We'll be doing that in just a minute. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
So what's your...
Okay, thank you guys. That's good. Thanks, guys. Nice.
Which one's Starscream?
Right there. Okay.
Back on that.
Starscream's a little slow.
Are you going to go over there with them? Go over there in the middle. Go in the middle. Okay, there you go.
Let's put it like this. I use them before I use them. Because I've been on and off
And they have a little sign on theirs, which probably says something like, "Don't touch me."
Yeah. That's funny. Oof, BotCon Day 2 is pretty crazy. Hey Ty, BotCon Saturday kind of coming to a close here. It's 5 o'clock.
Alright, it's time for everybody to leave. We've got to get ready for casino night, so please take your packages and exit the building.
You want to...
out the front, please don't use the glass doors. Please go out the front. We need everyone out of the building now. So we can
quickly, one sec. Show us the art we bought. Show us the art. Just some artwork we bought today.
We can't see all of them because they're stacked up.
Oh, we can't?
We'll show you later.
Alright, we will do that. Yeah, just some cool artwork. Is that the stack stuff in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a little calendar.
We got a little calendar, Transformer calendar for Ty. Anyway, yeah, we got a lot of artwork. Before that, we were in line for about 2 hours to sign autographs. The entire Transformers Rescue Bots team was there. For me personally, and Ty, we were really only interested in a couple people like Marsden, LaMarche, Bloom, of course. But yeah, we stood in line.
We got a bunch of G.I. Joe stuff signed.
Earlier, we went to some of the panels. I recorded some of that. Anyway, BotCon Saturday coming to a close, Ty, so let's get out of here.
Okay, bye.
Oh, they refilled the shelves,
Yeah. Alright, let's head on out of here. Okay guys, real quick, I just wanted to show you some of the rest of the stuff we got at BotCon Day 2 on Saturday. We were showing you a little bit more as we were exiting, but now, you know, I can have a little more time to go into it a little more. Anyway, we got some cool, you know, posters, got some cool artwork from a couple of artists there. You know, they're always real nice guys. You know, cool, chill guys. A lot of real nice artwork and a lot of awesome artists. And man, I'd still like to buy some more. Anyway, let's get to it. We have a couple of G.I. Joe things as well as Transformers. But let's look at the G.I. Joe real quick. You know, I believe they called him a Cobra Commander, even though he kind of doesn't really have the mask for it. It looks more like a Cobra Trooper. But anyway, yeah, we got 3 from this particular artist. You can see a signature on them. It's like in the bottom corners and such. Anyway, got like a Cobra soldier here, I believe. And that's real nice. I'm just going to kind of remove this so we can see. Ty, my girlfriend, really loves the Baroness. She's a big Baroness fan. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool too, I gotta say. She's going to want to keep this, but it's hers. So here we go, Baroness. Good stuff, awesome. Yo Joe, baby. Anyway, I'm going to scan over here. Okay, and this is like an Optimus versus Megatron. I think it was a BotCon only exclusive. I think that's what it said over the sign. Can't really remember. Anyway, this artist is pretty nice, pretty cool, and he does good work. I'm a big fan of getting these at BotCons, especially, you know, it's just something about being at BotCon that makes you want to buy stuff like this a little more so. Anyway, we got 3 from this artist. All right, now when I walked by this, I saw it and I was like, oh my god, that just looks badass, man. That looks pretty cool. I have to have it. You know, it's Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, 3 jets. Oh, with Megatron kind of in the background. You know, it's got a good old kind of space theme. I like the colors, and I like the style of the jets. You know, they look good. They all look pretty cool. Big fan of these 3. And him. Anyway, I just thought this looked real badass. And once again, you know, I like to get the signature from the artist himself, you know, because it's their work. So I think it's appropriate. You know, I like it. It looks really nice. I think this is like my favorite piece I picked up so far. And you know what's really nice is, I mean, it's not like they're super expensive. You know, there's a couple of, you know, like several really like cool, crazy elaborate pieces that can be a little, you know, a little pricey. But these, the ones that I've showed you, you know, nothing too crazy. And yet, very nice works of Transformers art. So good stuff. Just show you again. Let's not get the reflection though. There you go. Okay, good stuff. I'm actually just going to kind of pan over here. Ty wanted to get a bunch of comic books. Most of these were actually like in the dollar bin pile. Oh, except for this one. This one was, I don't know, like $5 or something. It's like the best of Megatron, so they have like various... And let me go to the beginning here so I can... okay. So it's like various, you know, comic book parts from many different aspects. Oh, as you can see, there's like Armada there. So yeah, it's like, basically it's like the all-star performances of Megatron, like throughout like certain comics, you know, all wrapped into one. So it's pretty good stuff. Let me just kind of, you know, let me open this a little better. There we go. So you can just kind of scroll through. You can see how things change up, you know, different Megatrons throughout the Transformers series. So that's pretty cool. And actually, we got some... Oh, well, here's another one. Ty wanted this as well. Big Shockwave fan. So that's pretty good. Good stuff. You know. And, oh, we got a couple of B-stores. These were like dollar bins. And actually, I haven't read these myself. I think we have them all except for like one. There's kind of a breakup. But, you know, what can you do? And you can find them elsewhere. You can get your hands on them. And, yeah, I think I'll do that, man. Good stuff. Like I said, haven't read these. Oh, this is a different one too. It's actually one of those Transformer G.I. Joe ones. Can't go wrong, man. Combining your 2 favorite things. My 2 favorite things. So anyway, good comics. Comics and wall art. It's a good combo. Okay, and now for the rest of what we got signed today. And looking at it from this angle, my God, it's a lot. It seems like a lot, but there was some voice actors there on the Transformer Rescue Bots panel signing autographs that we didn't even approach. Many other people did, but you know, some people are there just for certain individuals. Anyway, James Horan and David Sobolov doing autographs all weekend. I didn't get to James yesterday, but I got to him today, pretty much. So you know, I just had him sign a couple of Wheeljacks. You know, he's a real nice guy, just like David Sobolov. Now, a person who was there was Jason Marsden, who actually he voices Duke. You know, I've talked about him. He does a lot of work, a lot of voice acting, as well as just, you know, acting, regular acting. You know, Noel, Final Fantasy 13-2, so on and so on. He does a lot. He actually was, oh, there's a Duke, there's a Duke. And he was talking to me about how they haven't renewed the G.I. Joe Renegades for another season. He's like, oh yeah, they're probably creating another one. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, he actually kind of seemed bummed about it. And I was like, oh man, attached to the Duke character. Anyway, here's a pretty interesting story. I showed you these figures, the old 80s and 90s G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero classic figures, and telling you how, well, basically all these figures kind of go to the Deke early 90s cartoon, which, you know, these appeared in. So Maurice LaMarche, who was there and part of the Rescue Bots panel, he actually provided the voice to these characters in the Deke G.I. Joe show. So it was kind of interesting, a little obscure. I went up to him, when I whipped these out, he was like, oh, he was kind of surprised, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only dude there that was making him sign, G.I. Joe stuff. So, I was like, oh yeah, you actually supplied your voice to G.I. Joe, this Deke version, and he actually knew what I was talking about. He actually knew, and he remembered that he worked on the G.I. Joe, the Deke series. And he actually, I think he called out, he's like, oh yeah, Night Creeper, Destro, oh yeah, I remember those. It was kind of funny. Didn't think he would have any recollection at all about it, because it really was obscure, but he knew. I also brought up The Critic, and I'm pretty sure that was one of his favorite projects to work on with John Lovitz and all the guys, that did The Simpsons and all. So yeah, he understood, there's still a lot of Critic fans out there. He was doing some voices about it. So that was nice. Anyway, moving over here. Let's see. Ah, yeah, Steve Bloom. Let me talk about Steve Bloom. His section. Actually, Steve Bloom and Maurice were sitting at the same table. It was like two at a table, and that table was swamped. And let me tell you, the majority of people were there to see Steve Bloom, and they were swamping him. And the people who worked at BotCon basically kind of had to herd the people along, like move along, move along. Yeah, he had a full day of work, let me tell you. Anyway, as you can see, I have, pretty much basically Starscreams from Transformers Primes. Actually, Steve Bloom provided the voice of Fall of Cybertron Shockwave, not to be confused with Transformer Prime Shockwave. Yeah. So, mixing it up, mix and match. Anyway, yeah, like I said, when I look at it this way, and this is only from Saturday, you remember Friday, if you watched that video, that, yeah, I had more. Pretty much just from David Sobolov, I believe, but yeah, that's the majority. Saturday was a huge, crazy day at BotCon. I got to tell you, my feet kill. I ache all over. I haven't eaten all day, but good times, a lot of fun. Ty and I both had a blast. Good stuff, guys. So thanks for watching this.